What's on your evil mind? Hold your insulting tongue and mark my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired Mr. Stark?
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. Steadily closing tabs as I attempt to host this show. My name is Roddy Cat. And with me tonight, my man Mamela, the man prepping for his NYCC sojourn, Agent_70.
What's up, everybody? NYCC is this weekend, starting today.
Indeed, at time of recording. Which, of course, we record every Thursday night, 9-ish p.m. Around these parts. So, you know, sometimes movie protocols in effect. Sometimes we prep for cons or all this kind of good mess. But
sometimes we're on the road, like some of our co-hosts.
Exactly, like our co-host PCN_Dirt, who can be found at PCN_Dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter, I Need Comics.com, and PopCultureNetwork.com. And our other host, who is not here tonight because you know he's busy hobnobbing on TV sets, one Tim DOGG98, that you can find him at that address on Twitter, and KLIQ Nation on Twitter. That's DKLIQ_NATION. Also, he's running the CB Cron Twitter account, and also you can find his stuff on TheKLIQNation.com, and of course, comic book resources. Well, you know, where his hobnobbing will come to fruition in the form of some articles. And of course, you can find Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find myself, Roddy Cat, at Roddy Cat, RODDYKAT. No underscore like the rest of these, well, like the other fellas, because, you know, they're special like that. News Nerds Need on Twitter. News Nerds Need Reddit on Twitter. Hopefully the website I'm still trying to work on, so hopefully that's coming soon. And CB Caps on Instagram. And you can find this podcast on CSPN network. That's Cold Slither Podcast Network, CSPN.us. Go over there and go check out this show and other shows of perusings. And you can subscribe to this podcast at Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, whatever, Google Play, SoundCloud, on this Cold Slither Podcast feed. And I'm pretty sure we're probably out there. Maybe we'll get on Spotify one day. And of course, shop.cspn.us to get some merch from this program and for this show and other shows on CSPN Network. Some nice stuff over there. Go check us out. And as we begin, as we proceed, as they say, we are going to. Yeah, no, right?
Sometimes that's all I need for a lyrical reference.
Exactly, and which is my exact reason for putting it out there like that. But yes, as we do every week, we start off with the comics of the week, and we are going to start off with one we both read. Well, one of the two we both read, which I guess will be Champions number 26. Let's say.
Yeah, that works.
Because you know. So yeah, so the one thing to know going into this issue is that this is Jim Zub's second issue. Well, start of his first arc, but this is his second issue writing. And the one thing you know, if you don't know anything about Jim Zub, he's big into D&D.
I did not know this.
And he's also, matter of fact, he's writing a couple of the D&D books. Yeah, so he's because if you follow him, you'll see him talking about D&D and running all over the world and doing all kinds of stuff. So yes, he's big into D&D, and it shows in this issue, which is a double. Well, it's not necessarily double size, but it's a bigger than normal issue, which has our team heading into Weird World by way of a device called the Siege Parallel, not to be confused with the Siege Perilous, because we know how bad that went.
Yeah,
for the X folks.
Man, that brought back memories. As soon as I saw the name, I was like, "Oh, wow!"
Right? And I was like, "Huh."
Speaking of Jubilee, who we'll get to later,
right? So I was like, "Huh." That's like, I didn't know there was any more of those around, but I guess you can make up anything you want when you're writing these things. So, but in the course of this, so if you didn't know, well, I guess if you did not know, a couple of issues ago. Wait, so this must be his third issue, I think. Because last issue was the special issue. Oh wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I just realized it is the 25th issue of this. It's not 26.
Right. This is the 25th issue. This is what would normally be an anniversary type issue.
Right.
But ultimately, I think this is the second issue in this arc.
Technically, yes, because at the end of, well, see, you could jump on. So basically, it's big enough where you can jump on, and everything's kind of given for you. But it kind of started a couple of issues back when the team went to Africa to help out some folks. They ran into Man-Thing, and Nadia and Sam got swallowed into this portal.
Right.
Hence their reasoning to try to go find them, and ended up in Weird World. Now we start off with Riri having a dream about what happened in Infinity Wars Champions thing, which may or may not come back into play. And then we get into the story where, again, we find our heroes going into Weird World. And I guess we're kind of sort of following Riri because she's the only one who seems to remember the fact that, who she actually is when she meets some of the other folks. And everybody else is kind of in their other roles. Because basically what happens when you go through the Seeds Parallel, you find yourself as someone different, but you find yourself as someone that you could possibly be in another realm, is what they told us. And they're all end up as D&D characters.
Right. So basically they get the Siege Parallel through what is this character's name? Snowguard. Oh, I didn't want to call her Snowbird because it's so similar.
Oh, right. Amka. Yeah.
So Snowguard has a connection to the spiritual realm that gives her the connection to the Canadian wilderness. So the spirit that she's in contact with leads her along the path to figuring out a way to get to Weird World and to get to where Nova and Wasp have been transported to. So once we go through there, as Roddycat was saying, we are dumped right into a role-playing campaign,
basically. So, which is why I brought that stuff up about Zub and first, which was like, it's you kind of had to figure it was there for no reason. So, which is cool because I told myself when I was reading, I was like, yeah, you know what, I would actually love to run a campaign with like I hadn't played D&D since like high school. But I would love to run a campaign with these characters. This was kind of dope. And obviously, like I said, when I posted on CB Gaps, like Ironheart has a built-in character name already.
Yeah, seriously.
So, but yeah, as the story goes along, Riri runs into one of the characters, Miles, in his alter ego as a Shadow Spider, who apparently is a rogue. But he doesn't know. Like he knows she's familiar, but doesn't know, who she is because he thinks she's the character, and everybody else is basically playing not knowing their actual outside lives. So it's an interesting thing, and then you start meeting the other characters.
Yeah, like you kind of see where they've fallen into into whatever role it is that they've been assigned.
Mm-hmm. And not everybody, as we found out, not everybody's on the side of good. Or at least, let me phrase that. When they go through the portal, pretty much mostly everybody's looks like to be on the side of good, and there's a couple of people that are trying to find who shows up in a role that may or may not that's obviously going to turn, but they don't seem to be the side of good at the point. And we see who's pulling the strings in this in this little campaign.
Right. The character who's pulling the strings in this is not an unfamiliar character to the champions. In fact, it's a character that very recently appeared in this book not that long ago, and I'm going to mildly spoil it probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could have been during this whole
I was about to say only by saying that this particular villain pops up the same time Snowguard pops up.
Yeah.
That's a big spoiler. If you've been reading this, you know who I'm referring to.
Who's also a villain we hadn't seen prior to this in a good while.
Sure.
So,
And I like. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you about somebody else who we see before this character comes into play. I could have sworn that the mystic person that was with him was Mordred.
Take a look.
Because they don't say him by name, but it kind of looked like him, or it kind of seemed like him, or it could just be some random evil wizard.
It's hard to say because of how Weird World has been kind of transformed into like this weird. I don't know. It's nice in small doses. The way they were trying to give it to us in big doses before was tough,
right?
But it's nice that Weird World is there, and it gives us this alternate world that we're semi-familiar with, scattered with, peppered with familiar characters. Like it's cool seeing like Crystal Warriors. It's cool seeing, these other characters that we're semi-familiar with.
Which I not being that familiar with because I didn't read Weird World when that joint was out, so I did not know too much about it, and I just kind of took it for what it was. And I was also thinking, I was like, well, I guess I didn't know if Weird World was specifically just like this, or is like sectioned off like Battle World or something where they had like different parts where different things go on.
I think it's similar to that.
Yeah,
there's different sections that have different groups in control.
Right, because the what little bit I did read of Weird World was like I don't remember it being like that, like just straight up fancy. So I figured to just cut off a section and just like, well, this is Weird World or Battle World situation. So, but either way, it was cool, and I enjoyed this issue. It
was good.
Yeah, apparently this is part 1 of 3, according to what I read in the book, or at the end of the book. So we are looking forward to this campaign and going a little longer. And hopefully it keeps that same energy because it was actually pretty good.
No, it was a lot of fun to read because you could tell that Zub was in his element.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as a matter of fact, so much so that I believe there's 2 artists in there because the regular artist is going off to do something else, and then they switch into apparently an artist that Zub has been working with on D&D books to bring him in on this one. So like I said, it kind of goes further. The synergy goes further down the line.
Gotcha.
And the art is good, so it's not really it's not messing with anything, but it's just kind of keeping things, like you said, in his elements and keeping things in line. So it's full read. I enjoyed it a lot.
All right. You want to get to the other book that we both read?
Yeah, I want to see a campaign and some cosplay with these characters. Hopefully, there's some figures with some of them. Actually, yeah, because the Shadow Spider figure was pretty cool. Was pretty cool when he showed up. So, but anyway, yeah. So the other book we both read is Doctor Strange number 6.
Right, so we're coming off of a fairly shocking cliffhanger page in our last issue where we had just come back to Earth with Doctor Strange, and lo and behold, it was no, wrong one. Another Doctor Strange.
Yes. So the one thing that immediately went through my mind starting to read this before the reveal was that, and I think even the first page even kind of mentioned as much. Is this other Doctor Strange was the one with the Avengers? Because like I said, the first page kind of mentioned something about that. But as we saw in Avengers 6, I believe it was, Doc went off to do some, because he said he had to do some other stuff or whatever the case may be. And I wonder if this is it. So I wonder if this is kind of like caught up with that, and that's how they're explaining it, which still kind of doesn't make any sense, because they knew, well, if that was the case, Tony knew he went out to space. So how could he have, and then granted, this could have nothing to do with that, but that's how my mind was working in the course of this. So, and because it was like, well, Tony knew, so if that's the case, how did he end up being with the group as long as he was, if he was supposed to be already in outer space, depending on when all of that happened. But, comics, the continuity is,
it's here and there.
It's a sliding thing.
I mean, ultimately, it's with that first page. I hadn't read the first page recap until just now after you mentioned it, and it doesn't really say. It obviously doesn't explain what's happening. You have to read the issue, but I think what the tease is that when we jump into the first issue of this new series, the costume's different. We're not dealing with that blue costume anymore.
And I thought about that, but it's like I don't remember. But this is like the first time they've actually mentioned it.
Right.
I would have to go back and see. So that was the other thing. I was like, well, it may not be what I'm thinking it is, but at the same time, it's weird that they brought it up.
Sure.
So, but that being said, though, and in my notes was like, well, we Doctor Who now, because one, the title of the issue is called The Two Doctors, which is, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you have seen that particular title before.
Yeah, I was about to say, I am not a Doctor Who fan at all, in the least, and even I kind of got kind of a tickle in my brain about that, because I've seen stuff at Comic-Con. I've seen, just kind of notations that refer to Doctor Who in that regard. It's probably like an episode title or 4.
So. It is, or at least 2 or 3 or similar ones, yeah. So. But outside of that, to get into the issue, Doctor Strange meets Doctor Strange. They have a battle. It's a mirror match for fighting games, folks. You know what that is. And then we get into the reveal of, which actually, I guess the Doc we've been following, Space Doc, as it were, kind of says, okay, let's just go ahead and get this over with, and finds out who the other Doctor Strange was, and then and then they disappear. Bats meets Kana, and then they go on to try to solve this the mystery of what's going on with this person. Which the other thing about this issue was kind of funny to me was that, so that means that the other Doctor Strange, we find out, is apparently one of his old disciples that he's forgotten. Which means that this is like the second time in a year that he is, I believe, a year and a half that he has went up against or fought someone that he's forgotten about. Because I know there was an issue, or it might have been the annual last year where something similar kind of happened. But
now that you mention it, I sort of remember that too.
Mm-hmm. So, but it was I think it was a different person. I'm fairly certain it was not the same person. If it was, I don't remember. Now, granted, they made a reference to, they made a footnote into where this person comes from, because I'm like,
this is straight out of like a mini series or a graphic novel or something.
Which I'm gonna have to go back and check that out just to see what the.
What was the title? Let's look it up now while we've got just a hot second to do it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, why are you looking that up?
Strange. What's it called? Let's see here.
I can't remember. I should have wrote it down.
No. I'm skimming it now. Here we go. Doctor Strange. No, Strange. The Doctor's Out.
There we go. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a look and see what that is. Strange.
Oh, there you go. There's that footnote if you want that. But if you're reading this book, you'd have seen that footnote, and you'll probably either ever already read it and like, oh yeah, I remember this, or you're like, the heck?
Oh, of course, it's a Mark Waid story.
Oh. And since Mark Waid is writing this book,
of course, he's going to pull from his own
material.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go, folks. Mystery solved partially, except for the mystery in the issue, which I got a feeling so during the course of the issue, we find out that Doc didn't lose his memories, but took them from himself in order to fight a person on behalf of this other disciple who he'd forgotten about, and now he's gotten his memory back again due to this one other demon's mate. But I'm also thinking like, well, okay, memories involved, and if you remember a couple of issues ago, Doctor Strange took Kanna's memories away from her from something he did while they were out in space. So I have a strange feeling that something in this is probably going to bring that back. I could be totally wrong, but I feel like that might come up in the course of this, and if it doesn't, I'll be slightly shocked. But that being said, Kanna and Bats goes off to find this one dude find the dude that Doc fought, I think it was, during that first thing.
Right.
While Steven's looking into some other things, or I guess going to try and find this person named Casey.
Yeah. So, the series from 2010.
Oh, so
the 4-issue miniseries.
Huh. Yeah. I mean, there are not that many notable Doctor Strange minis, you know. So I'm sure there'll be a couple that'll float past folks. But he's basically saying, hey, you want to go back and maybe buy or read this and give me some money. No, I'm just kidding. Stop.
I gotta say that it seemed like Wade was having a lot of fun writing this issue. There was some great dialogue in this.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. And I see Bat still kind of salty for losing the fact that he didn't have opposable thumbs.
Right.
During whatever happened in Vegas, he took control of Steven and just kind of remarked, was like, opposable thumbs. So I don't know if this was an actual callback to that or not, but I thought that was funny to see.
Yeah. But like I said, this was I was very much impressed with the writing in this issue, more so than anything that was actually happening. I was kind of nonplussed by the whole, it's a lost student who's behind it all reveal. But I just, I was kind of drawn in by just some of the repartee between Kanna and Doctor Strange and Bats chiming in and one of the parts of the story that literally refreshes everyone's memory about what happens in that strange The Doctor Is Out limited series. There's literally a mechanism that Wade puts into this that's magical that refreshes everyone's memory, and I really like that mechanism. I like that story mechanism.
Yeah, it's dope. Matt, speaking of, says that Wayne read that Mark Waid Doctor Strange mini in 2010. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, you are, as he tends to do. So shout out to Mac Wayne 97, who's checking us out. As always, we appreciate you.
He's probably coming out of New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I think he also mentioned he was at Viva NYCC. So wait, he was going? Or you say he could? Because I thought he said he couldn't make it.
He's not gonna be able to make it. I don't think the rest of the weekend, but I know that he went today.
Gotcha.
I think he's got some personal plans this weekend that popped up after we had all bought tickets. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Got to take care of the personal business. So, but yeah, so that was Doctor Strange number 6. The only other thing I was going to say was the events of this issue can't be all there is. I feel like that there's got to be more to it than just this. Like this just kind of not necessarily reeks, but this is kind of basically an opening arc thing. And if it is, then okay, so be it. But I feel like there's got to be a little bit more to it than just, hey, student he forgot, and this other demon thing that they're going to find that I don't even know what happened.
Listen, it's the perfect opportunity for Wade to follow up on that story. So
yeah, sure.
We will see. We will see. This is definitely just the opening story in this arc. So we'll see how many twists he takes us on.
Yeah, and hopefully it continues to be a pretty good one. Whoa. Oh, okay. No, stop.
All right.
Do you?
We are at the point in the show where our paths diverge. And we get to the books that neither of us, I mean, that one of us read, but not both of us. So how about you start off with one of your books and I'll trade off. And then
sure.
Fire soon enough.
All right. I'm gonna do that one rapid fire. I just kind of glanced that one. So we'll go with Star Wars number 55.
All right.
I guess keeping it kind of on the Marvel train anyway. So we're still in the middle of this Hope Dies arc, and the rebellion who got ambushed, well, not ambushed, who got sabotaged a couple of issues ago, are starting to and took heavy losses already, are trying to regroup and get themselves out of the situation. And we still got Han and a TIE fighter, not a TIE fighter, an X-wing going around, and a few other things happening here and there. But the crux of this is that most of pretty much everybody escapes and they go off into different places because to keep things secured. No one knows where the other people are, so they're pretty much everybody's scattered off to different parts of the galaxy. There's a rescue with, of course, our crew, because Han got stranded out in space, so they had to go and get him. And so now they not only do they have to find the rest of the rebellion because of them scattering, they also have to find Chewie, who's on one of the freighters, and with the Falcon. And so now they got to go and find them, and they're in this confiscated ship that they happen to grab hold of, and they got away, but they're on a planet, and they had to get help from one Sinistaros, who I'm glad to see back in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And now I guess they're on a quest to find the Falcon and Chewie and get back to the rebellion. But before that happened, and before they lost contact with the rebellion, Mon Mothma basically started giving out their promotions. Because as we know, if you're at some point in Star Wars lore between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, they all end up being generals somehow. And now we start to see where some of that started. Because Leia's a general, Luke's a commander, and Han is a colonel, who obviously was like, no, I'm not trying to lead this, not trying to be leader. So Mon Mothma had to talk about this and blah 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 blah. So now we start to see where that starts to happen and kind of keep things in line with what we see in the movies, partially. It's Star Wars. It's still pretty good. It's kind of weird because sometimes they do a thing where, and they also brought up there was a person who's this minor figure, weirdly enough, whose name also means hope. And since the name of the arc is called Hope Dies, you kind of got to wonder if this person, who again is a small figure in the big stream of the thing, is probably not going to make it too much longer.
Right.
And the person almost met their end a couple of times during the course of this issue for being put in the fight, unwillingly, or sort of unwillingly. So we'll see what happens with that going forward. And that is Star Wars 55.
Nice. All right. Let me jump to DC because that's the only other publisher that I read this week. But surprisingly, I actually read of the 5 books I completed this week, I read 3 DCs and 2 Marvels. So that's a pretty uncommon week for one Agent _70. But the first DC book I wanted to talk about was Batman number 56, which basically jumps straight from the end of the previous issue that ended on a cliffhanger. And that cliffhanger is, ring the spoiler bell, I gotta, because some people are behind. What's been teased on the cover of this week's issue of Nightwing, the anniversary issue number 50. What happened at the end of the last issue is that Nightwing catches a bullet to the head. It's not a Sylvester Stallone movie with Han from the Fast and the Furious. Nightwing.
Oh God.
Yes, you're welcome. Pop culture references.
Yes, I do remember. Oh God.
So
anyway,
Nightwing catches a bullet to the head. I rang the spoiler bell. I warned y'all. And I even dropped another pop culture reference in just so that you might not catch that entirely. But ultimately, we find out what we all suspected, which is that one KGB Beast or KG Beast is behind the attempted assassination of Nightwing. And obviously, something like this happening is driving Batman absolutely positively. I'm going to curse on this because it is an adult show. Sometimes, batshit crazy.
Well played.
So he is on the hunt for KG Beast, or just plainly the Beast, and the Beast is kind of, he kind of went into a weird funk in terms of storylines after that big intro arc that he had way back when. I don't know if you ever read that, but it had some great Mike Zeck covers, and there was just some great storytelling in that arc where KG Beast was introduced, and he really hasn't had too much to do since, but this kind of harkens back to that initial introduction of the character, and it brings the character to his origin, and Batman doing some old school detective work, trying to shake the trees and shake up some witnesses to see if he can get a lead on where KG Beast is. And he runs across some characters from Nightwing's past. He runs across characters, particularly surprising, a particular new god who happens to be hanging out on Earth and is alleged to have been training KG Beast at some point. And it was pretty effective. It was a pretty effective story in that we had the parallel stories of Batman trying to find KG Beast and KG Beast kind of settling a particular score with, and unfortunately it's kind of corny, but apparently KG Beast has daddy issues.
Weird.
Right, but that sort of plays into what he was trying to enact, the type of revenge he was trying to enact upon Batman. So all that being said, and I definitely spoiled a chunk of this issue with what I kind of obliquely referred to, we get to the last page of the book where obviously we are teasing a confrontation between Batman and KG Beast in the next issue or two. So that's where we end the book, with a big tease towards how we are, a big tease to keep readers coming back for the eventual confrontation between these two characters.
Geez, DC got some stupid character names, but I mean Marvel does too. But KG Beast is just a reminder of that.
Well, would you rather have been Teddy KGB? I mean,
I mean, true.
Pay him his money. Oh, I found my ad read.
Oh, no.
I'll get to this.
You gotta love when that happens, folks. Actually, hey, you might even have a title up in there. But anyway, so yeah, just a reminder. KGB's got DC's got some silly characters. Anyway, do you want to go ahead and go to the other part? Yeah.
Yeah. So Nightwing number 50 is the aftermath of what happens in Batman number 55 and sort of what's happening in 56. Some time has passed because obviously Dick Grayson is healed to a certain extent, but not with any magic apparently. God forbid they call up Zatanna or get some healing potions or something. Nightwing. It kind of played. That's actually a theme that's in Justice League #9. To be honest, it's a small thing that's referred to, but Nightwing is recuperating normal people style, or at least rich people style, because obviously Bruce Wayne is putting all that he can into his care and treatment. So what ends up happening in the aftermath of being shot by KG Beast is that Nightwing is experiencing a loss of memory and altered personality as a result of the horrific brain injury he suffered, and we're taking down a little bit of memory lane with some adventures of Robin against the Scarecrow, and there seems to be a tease of something more concerning that character in this book, because we're dealing with a character who, while Daredevil is a man without fear, Robin is referred to in this book as the character with no fear. So it's an interesting, I guess it's an interesting tease as to where we're going to go with in this series, now that Dick Grayson's kind of lost a lot of his inhibitions and maybe his happy-go-lucky style, because he's lost a lot.
If only Sanctuary was around to help. Oh wait. Which actually brings up a couple of things, because I wonder when all that's going to start tying into Heroes in Crisis, if anything. And I wonder, specifically to this, how long this is going to keep. Like, is this going to be the new status quo from now on, which I did kind of doubt, because that rarely ever happens.
Right.
And
it's just weird. It's a weird turn for the character.
I mean, they've done, especially with the Grayson thing, not the saying that that's far out from the character, but, they've done different things with this one. So it's good that they're, trying different things. I mean, this is a kind of a trope that is not unheard of in comics, much less in general. So it's just a matter of what they plan to get out of it with this. Or what's going to be the payoff in this, if any. Right.
If any.
Yeah. But that is that. And yeah, I may still end up reading this, because I was kind of curious about that whole thing. And I had already been spoiled that this was going to happen in the first place.
Right. I mean, ultimately, where we end the book is Nightwing kind of going for a fresh start. And I won't say more, because
like meaner, and he's not like just a total reverse of himself. He's just like us, like us. You just don't give much of an F anymore.
Right.
Yeah. All right, moving right along. Let us go to. Actually, I think this one might be my last one before
rapid fire. We don't have much.
Yeah, actually, I can go into rapid fire right now. If we're honest,
spin it up.
And we start off with Border Town #2. I talked about this book when it first came out. This is the vertical book by Eric Esquivel and Ramon Villalobos. Deals with a town that is actually near the border of U.S. and Mexico, that also has another dimensional border where demons live that has been weakened. And they have been coming into this town in the last couple of issues, biting people and causing a little bit of havoc. And of course, some of the locals who are kind of, I would say for the most part, outside of, there may be it's a border town. Let's put it this way. If you've ever been to one or lived in one, no one know too much about that. It's kind of that. And the kind of people who would be in towns like that are in this book. So we have this, for lack of a better term, monster squad of 4 teens who's kind of been into things, but they decide to go their separate ways and end up back together at the end of this, and trying to see what's going on. And there's a big Aztec pyramid under a shopping mall. So, yeah. Juke Joint #1. This is the book written by T. Franklin. I think it's a 5-issue series. I can't remember what it is, but it is a horror spin on it. And I will say, if you go into the book, if you're curious about it, it does have a trigger warning in the beginning for sexual assault and domestic violence type situation. So tread lightly if you are sensitive to that kind of stuff. But basically, we find out that there's this juke joint in the middle of this wherever back in the 1950s that is run by this voodoo priestess who, if you mess around, you will get dealt with, especially if you're a dude and causing harm to ladies. You will have some problems in here. And this book starts. This book kind of goes into that. It was actually I'm not a big horror reader type stuff, but I was kind of curious of this book and there are cases of nudity in this book. So again, if this is not for little kids, I would say. Now, like it hasn't gone like full horror yet, and I'm not sure if it actually will, but you have to still watch out for what it's showing in itself. But it is especially if you are a fan of suspense kind of horror, and since it is October, you may want to check this out, and not necessarily if you're sensitive about. And the scenes that allude to sexual assault, domestic violence, that kind of stuff, is not hard, but it could still be triggering. That's why they put the warning in there. So again, something to be known about. But first issue was kind of give me an impression of I'm curious as to where the story is going to go. Let's put it that way. So we will probably be talking about that a little bit more. There's definitely a clear message in the midst of this. Last but not least, Cosmic Ghost Rider #4. So I kind of had a chance to skim through this right before the show started. Yeah, it's so basically at the end of last issue, Frank meets. What you say? You want to say something? Oh, okay. Frank meets up with an older version of the baby he's holding with him, and that being Thanos. This grown-up person has he's wearing his old Punisher gear, and who comes and takes him away to somewhere else, and that leads to some shenanigans by the end of the book, including potentially putting Frank back into a situation he has previously been in during the course of the series. So this book is still kind of crazy, and I've been kind of still enjoying it. This one's not that different. And that's it for me.
I need to catch up on that series. The only book that I have left really is Justice League, the other DC book that I read this week, Justice League #9. So very quickly, this is sort of an in-between story arc issue, and it doesn't really serve as too much of a setup for the next arc. What it does do, though, is set up the Justice League status quo now that the team has, quote-unquote, assembled, to borrow a phrase from Earth's Mightiest Heroes. So they've set up their base, and they've all set up their living quarters, and it's sort of a tour of their living quarters in the aftermath of, in the setup of this base. We're dealing with some of the aftermath of that opening arc where, they were on this big adventure against the Legion of Doom, and Batman is basically broken into pieces, and he's being literally stitched together thanks to is it Mr. Terrific? The dude
there is a Mr. Terrific. Yes,
the T on him, right? Yeah, it is. Mr. I didn't want to misstep and call him something. I wasn't.
I've been called in to do medical stuff, even though that's not his forte. But yes,
right, because he's got his robots or something doing the medical stuff. So,
right. But yeah,
right. So they've got him in. They've got Batman on the mend, and Superman is rebuilding the moon. And there's some fake threats being called in because Batman is looking to kind of test the Justice League because he's Batman. He's a jerk. Yeah, it's really, not all that much happens in this issue. It's really much more of a setup for what the status quo is going to be, at least moving forward for a little while, as they've set up their home base in the Hall of Justice. So,
okay, that was going to be one of my two questions, and my other question is, because so in Titans, the Titans is also set up in the Hall of Justice, but their chamber is called Chamber 404, which is
like a computer thing. Yeah,
it's kind of funny. Which I've been meaning to bring it up. So,
and I think Justice League Dark has a headquarters in there too, like in the basement or something.
Which is going to be one of my other things. Because do they set up or even allude to any of the other teams? Because I know Wonder Woman and Witching the Justice League Dark is there, and I know they're supposed and that issue of that event starting this week issue also.
Yeah, no, they definitely referenced the Justice League Dark one.
Gotcha. Okay. So cool. All right. Well, that being
time for the week.
Yep.
And if you didn't think I was listening to Teddy KGB on YouTube, that's what those are the words I was mouthing. If you didn't think I was doing that, you are absolutely mistaken. Of course I was.
Jesus. All right. So I guess I will go ahead and start because we didn't get any clicks from the other two guys. At least, actually, let me check and see if.
No, I don't.
Nope. Either one of them read a thing. Okay.
Huh? It's one of those weeks.
Yeah, kinda. So, for myself, Champions number 25 because I do love. I did absolutely love that whole D&D thing. It speaks to my geekiness.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to actually second you on that. Although Batman number 56 came in a close second, I actually really enjoyed reading Champions because it did bring me back to the D&D days.
Yeah.
Cool.
You used to play?
Yeah, of course. Didn't we all?
Well, yeah, a lot of people did. But yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be doing much of this if we didn't have a foundation somewhere, I'm pretty sure. Seriously. So the Venn diagram is kind of almost a perfect circle.
Exactly. No, there's no question that role playing definitely played a part. Although I honestly can tell you, I was not the strongest player. I was never all that creative with my storytelling.
I think I used to play. When I learned in high school, like early on in high school during the summer, and played over the phone with the dude as my GM. So that was kind of weird. Well, there was a couple times at the camp, and neither was I. And I wish I could find my old sheets. That would totally bring them back up again.
Right, because unfortunately, half the fun for me was creating the characters and combat, and I always wanted to get to combat, and I wasn't so big on, telling the story and investigating the stupid rocks and pulling on, don't pull on this, but pull on that. Come on, can we get to the already?
I can see if you were a GM, you would, or DM, excuse me, you would totally have them just all constantly in the fights.
Yeah, seriously. I'd be like, all right, you're going to get some, you're going to reload your weaponry and stuff and get some food, get some wenches, and then, you're into a fight. Next thing you know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah. If y'all haven't seen, y'all have to watch that Key and Peele skit where they do Dungeons and Dragons, or they do Dungeons.
I've kind of watched that.
That is an awesome skit because it's kind of something you said kind of played into that actually. I'll give you the link when we get up to this.
So first ad read of the night.
Yes.
And the first ad read of the night, I'm going to give this a shot and see if I can make it through this ad read in Teddy KGB's voice from Rounders. And I'm going to pull up Rounders and watch it, if not tonight, tomorrow. Or at some point, like I'll watch it while I'm online if I have a digital download of it. I'll watch it online at Comic-Con. I'll be like on a line for some panel or something. I'll be watching it. So if you're not familiar with it, it's Teddy KGB. This is John Malkovich's character in the movie Rounders. So this ad is for Funko. Fun at first sight. It's your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world famous Pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel, and brand merchandise, custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now, the listeners of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. There you go.
Oh God. Okay. New cinematic news.
We got to have fun with this, ladies and gentlemen, because
actually, you almost had a check off from the new Star Trek. You almost had it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Malkovich's Russian accent is awful, but he's absolutely playing it up in that movie. So, anyway, that's too funny.
Yeah, you got the news. The news.
Oh yes, news.
Crying. All right, first off, we start off with cinematic news as we like to do, and with I'm starting off with this one because this is freaking ridiculous.
You're welcome.
And I also editorializes myself by saying Gambit. Well, excuse me, this is the title, but Gambit will be a romantic comedy, says producer. And my notes, I'm like,
hold on.
So Simon Kinberg has said that basically said that hey, Gambit would Gambit's demeanor and such would make him would lend itself to romantic comedy. Like he's like straight up idolizing the two. His direct quote is like, when you look at Gambit, he's a hustler and a womanizer, and we just felt like there is an attitude, a swagger to him that lent itself to romantic comedy. And I'm like, that's bull. But anyway, I won't get into what else I said because I'm like, okay, that's a stretch.
I mean,
it's a stretch.
The problem with this is that there's no basis for it unless you're going to delve into his New Orleans roots and dig up the character Belladonna. Remember that?
Yes, and or him chasing Rogue throughout the whole of X-Men animated series, and actually even now since they're married.
Right. But I don't think the movies are going to be connected like that. One, to bring in Rogue, so it's going to be Belladonna first because that I believe was his wife. Right. Early on, so
yeah. Regardless, that's still
yeah, I understand. I definitely get where you're coming from. All right, next up, Spider-Man. I wanted to say Spider-Man Far From Home. Far From Home photo teases a familiar costume upgrade. So what's teased is a stealth Spider-Man suit.
Yes, and if you're watching the video, you are seeing the picture that was put out on Reddit of all places.
Right. So we will find out when this movie comes out what that actually is representing, because seeing it in action and seeing whether or not there's going to be special effects surrounding it, so we'll see.
Yeah, because I don't trust a whole lot from Reddit. I'm just going to go ahead and say that.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, Spider-Man. Speaking of Spider-Man, it's Far From Home. Set photos, videos show off Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio.
Now, this was a lot more convincing and revealing.
Yeah, he actually looks like a weird bootleg Thor, though, in that picture with the long cape.
Yeah,
like,
but
he's just picking up a hammer.
what I was gonna say is what we're missing is whatchamacallit, the fishbowl head.
Mm-hmm. Which I would imagine they're probably, well, unless it was taken off, it was probably gonna be CG or something. Who knows? Because you know they gotta give folks FaceTime for some reason. So yeah, that's the thing. Jake Gyllenhaal, Mysterio, which I don't know, that might be a good pick. I don't know. Next up,
I was about to say it's an inspired pick. It's a pick,
sure.
Mysterio.
Sure.
All righty. So Tessa Thompson confirms Valkyrie's post-Infinity War fate.
Hey, girl.
Still alive.
Yep. Her exact quote is like somebody. So yeah, I saw this tweet when it went out. Somebody asked her, "Did Valkyrie disintegrate?" And she was like, "Nope, she's in one piece and thriving." With the emoji. So, and she has been seen it looks like she's been seen on the set of Avengers 4 during the reshoots. So that's also, that's also a thing.
That's good.
Or at least that's what the rumors are saying, I think.
That's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of Avengers 4.
Yes. And speaking of people disappearing, Chris Evans officially raps playing Captain America. I just saw this like an hour ago before we started.
This dropped at some point today because he tweeted it out, I think.
I retweeted. Yes, I think I did. But yeah, so research happening for Avengers 4. Chris Evans went out to Twitter, and they don't have the exact quote. Oh, yes, they do. It says, "Oh shoot." Officially wrapped on Avengers 4. It was an emotional day, to say the least. Playing this role over the last 8 years has been an honor. To everyone in front of the camera, behind the camera, and in the audience, thank you for the memories. Eternally grateful. And that was it. Hey, Evans has been basically doing Cap on and off the screen, because if you followed his Twitter stream, he's been kind of checking folks, including the current president and a certain stupid ass rapper. As of late in the time during the time we're just recording, so he's been doing some good work. Hopefully that continues. Whatever he does next.
Right. Seriously, like if you didn't think they like absolutely nailed the Captain America casting, right?
Yeah, I kind of forgot. It was kind of one of those things. Was like, wait, did he grow into the role, or was he actually meant to play this role? He just
fought it all the time. Yeah, it seemed like he was trying to fight that casting.
Yeah. So,
like he'd always played like kind of like the goofball roles, but this is what he was meant to play.
Or yeah, if you watch Scott Pilgrim, which you should, it's an awesome movie. He played a jerk action movie star.
Right.
So.
Well, think about it. Like he was Johnny Storm, and he was like the immature, jerky, younger brother.
Yeah, which I think was before that. Was it before that or after that? I can't remember. Regardless,
it was before.
Or yeah, Scott Pilgrim. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of played into that also. But, which again, watch Scott Pilgrim. It's an awesome movie.
It is good. All right, next up.
Miss him in the role, or if it ends up being the end of that.
Right. Did you happen before I get into this? Did you happen to pull news on the new Daredevil season?
The trailer. I don't think I did.
Okay. I'll just incorporate it in here. So it's a 2-for-1. So the latest trailer dropped today for Daredevil, the Netflix Daredevil season 3, and what's been something to note in these trailers that have popped up so far is that Daredevil is going back. He's back in black. Could have another song tonight. He's going back to the OG black costume from the first season, and there's a reason for it, because this season is kind of stripping everything that Daredevil is, and stripping everything that Matt Murdock is away from him, and that's sort of bringing it back to basics and bringing him down into a very dark place. And that's generally, the psychological state that he's in, and that's what the article that's in the show notes that Roddy Cat references and drops in a link to basically says that the show is meant to, follow Matt's descent into a really bad place and see him sort of come out of it.
But we also, in that trailer that unfortunately I forgot to pull, we see a few different things happen, including a trope that, has happened has happened once or twice in comics in general. In fact, I wouldn't say most recently into Batman and an Elseworlds thing. At least that's what the trailer seems to be alluding to, because and also we may actually still see Red Suit Daredevil if what I'm thinking that trailer kind of hints around to.
Yeah.
Or,
it's a trailer, so it's hard to guess where they're going. But did you also? We've already confirmed in our news that Bullseye's the villain, right?
There might have been something about that, yes, because I believe they had casted him a while back, and we
So we've definitely discussed that in the past. That's not a spoiler, but there are some hints at the role that Bullseye might be playing,
right?
In terms of not just being the villain, but what he might be doing in the series.
Yes, it's kind of alluding to what I just said, basically. Right. So there is that. And for those keeping track, in the middle of Defenders at this point. I'm like almost finished.
Good.
I'm like loads away, so I'm slowly catching up. And I guess while we're on the Devil thing, that's season 3 is going to be starting next Friday, the October 19th.
It's very soon.
Soul Calibur 6 comes out the same day. Woo! Anyway, next up. This me. Star Wars Chief Kathleen Kennedy's Lucas deal extended for 3 years, making a whole bunch of man babies mad. Good for them. So yeah, Kathleen Kennedy, who's been heading up Lucasfilms for many time. I like how this article says this move is a vote of confidence in Kennedy, who took command of Lucasfilm after Disney's $4 billion acquisition. So the whole vote of confidence thing is a prequel. A prequel illusion, which I appreciate that. So yeah, she got 3 more years on it because she's been doing the thing, and people have been, like I said, the man babies have been all kind of pissed, and because they think she's everything that's wrong with Star Wars.
Okay,
stupid people.
Yeah.
Next up,
pretty much. All right, so we've got a whole bunch of related stories that I think we can all smush into one.
Those next 3.
Yeah. So Jon Favreau's Star Wars series is reportedly starting to shoot next week or this week.
Actually, yeah, what we found out from the next article.
Right. That Star Wars mild spoiler bell. Because it's kind of spoiled in the title, yo. Star Wars The Mandalorian starts production. That's Jon Favreau's series. The first images and the directors are revealed for the first ever live action Star Wars series. Mm-hmm. And finally, there's a rumor that Pedro Pascal, the actor, is eyed to lead the Mandalorian, Star Wars The Mandalorian series. That is who is this from Westeros? Is he the
He said he's Oberyn Martell from 4th season of King of Thrones or Game of Thrones. He was in Kingsman Golden Circle, and he was also in Netflix's Narcos.
Okay.
Oh, he's also going to be in Wonder Woman 1984. I forgot about it because that's where I first remember seeing him or hearing about him.
Gotcha.
So they continuously pulling from Westeros. That's all I can say. Which, hey,
because they don't film all that often, so those actors need some work.
There is all that too. And again, there's a slight bit of synergy. But yeah, so that's the thing. And actually, and they started this week filming this Star Wars thing. So I believe they started yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a thing. Next up, CW's Elseworlds crossover might end up merging Arrow versus Earth because it was only a matter of time before that happened. If this is believed to be true.
That would make things a lot easier.
Definitely, right? So now instead of 3 or 4 different, there'll only be 2 if you count the DC universe. The shows are going to be, because I don't think that they're definitely not going to be tied to this as far as we know.
Okay. All
Anyway.
right. Next up, Arrowverse's latest casting means a Flash is going to die.
So yes, we have the casting of LaMonica Garrett as the Monitor, who folks of a certain vintage knows from Crisis of Infinite Earth, which as I remember reading, but don't remember reading the whole thing of. Luckily, DC's got had a nice little sale going on Comixology. You can go check that out. And they got some of that stuff on DC Universe. Not all of it, just some of it. Anyway, so yeah, he's the Monitor, and hey, a Flash died during the course of Crisis of Infinite Earth. Maybe that's going to possibly happen. It's probably not going to be the one you're thinking of who actually did die.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know. So, and if it is, that would be a surprise. So yeah, that's the thing. We'll tune into that in December, I believe. That starts on December 9th. Something like that.
Okay. So, I was right. So the reason why there's just a slight delay in me getting to our next story is that I needed to Google somebody, and I needed to make sure that my memory was serving me correctly, and it was.
Okay. I was about to say, did you really?
Our next story is Jennifer Beals of Flashdance.
Yes.
Is joining the Swamp Thing series on the DC Universe app.
Because I was about to say, so again, if you're of a certain vintage, you will know, like as Agent _ 70 said, you will know Jennifer Beals from Flashdance, and yes, because that was my immediate thought when I saw this article. I'm like, wait, really? They got Flash? They got Jennifer Beals from Flashdance, which she has been doing other things. So mind you, so it's
course, but you know, there's some roles that are, you know, and titles that are iconic,
right? And that for her is hers,
right?
She played the not the title character, but she played the main character in Flashdance,
right?
Who I'm sure so even if you're not of a certain vintage, you've probably seen you know, some allusions to in other places, whether you knew where it was written from or not. So yeah, so she's going to be playing Sheriff Lucilia Cable on Swamp Thing, and described as tough as nails and pragmatic. Cable's fierce devotion to her son Matt is also rivaled by a sworn dude, which she kind of reminds me of the sheriff from that Starfire series from a couple of years ago, whose name was not that. But regardless, that's the thing. I don't know. Oh yes, Swamp Thing's not until next year, so that's the thing. Next up. So there was an article going out there saying that DC's Universe's Doom Patrol was going to come out this year. And as we've just recently found out, that's not true. It's still going to be, according to this article, it said it was supposed to debut on December 12th of this year, but it was originally slated for 2019, which, according to the studio, it remains slated to debut in 2019. So, and I guess Newsarama, and I don't know who many other places might have reported it, saying it was coming out this year, and not being the case. Yeah. And I guess no. Okay, you can take the next one.
So DC Universe's Titans has been confirmed for a second season already. Hasn't even dropped yet.
Right, and it doesn't start until the 12th, I believe. I'm sorry, 19th is 2 weeks away. So yeah, I think Titans drops next Friday.
All right, sneak peeks this week though at Comic-Con.
Yes. So that's the thing. Like I said, that's kind of weird, but I guess they have confidence in it. I don't know what to say. Speaking of DC Universe, only 24% of mobile users who downloaded DC's new streaming app has actually paid for a subscription, according to a new story. Full disclosure, I am one of those people who paid for a subscription. I don't know why I had to say that, but I felt like
I have not.
Yes.
Nor have I actually opened the app, but I did download it.
Nice. So yeah, so it's worth to mention there is
I'm in the 76%.
Right. So because there are people who downloaded just to kind of check it out, or to do the 7-day trial, and this whole article is about numbers that, you know, whether they mean anything at this point or not, it was worth noting. Excuse me. And what I was also looking for, which it doesn't say here, because again, this is about more like this is an analyst study and more about numbers than actual factuals. Whether there's going to be a console release of DC Universe, but I guess no such luck. This is for Business Insider, so why would that be the case?
What is Matt Wang tweeting at us right now?
Oh, is he?
What is this? How did I know? How did you have Google?
See, Matt was with me on that one.
Yeah, it's like, how did I not know that? Yo, there's a lot on my mind. So,
granted, she looks like, very different from what she did when she did that
right
stuff. But still, the name.
The name. It's all in the name, right? So speaking of an actress with a recognizable name and a recognizable voice, the question may be answered as Rosie Perez is joining Birds of Prey to play Detective Renee Montoya on the show. And it's funny that the show is called the headline was written, the question may be answered, because all I could think of was quahog and quince and what are the other foods that begin with the letter Q? That's a reference there.
What?
White man can't jump when she goes on Jeopardy.
I know, which this the article, the author of this article mentions that in the course.
Oh, okay, that's fun.
So he was with you, and I was with you too, because
good. I was like, oh, it's all about the cues. Goodness.
Yes. So this is I don't know. I thought this was interesting. So I mean, Rosie Perez, she still looks great, obviously. But there is no, according to this article, there is no question. There is no confirmation as to whether she's going to suit up as the question or she's just playing Renee Montoya.
Right, because that's like that's a later development in the Montoya character.
Right. So, man, anyway. Love for some Rosie Perez around this parts. Also from shit, what was the Spike Lee movie?
What, Do the Right Thing?
Yes, Do the Right Thing. Thank you. I blanked for a second.
Mookie.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, we'll see what comes out of that.
We're all about the pop culture references tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. We have no one from Pop Culture Network here. So.
Oh, Dirt, where are you? He's on the road.
Next up, Ben Affleck wants to play Batman again, says this some report.
Wait.
Yeah, so according to this article on Newsarama, Ben Affleck is lobbying to play Batman in another film, which I don't know. Some Hollywood gossip and blah blah blah. We don't know, and we still don't know whether he's even going to be in the Batman, the Matt Reeves joint. Especially with his rehab thing going on at this point. So that's all that's kind of up in there. I don't.
I'm dying.
Yeah. Nice. Next up,
Netflix orders a series based on IDW's October Faction. Ooh, very good, Netflix.
Wait, do you know this book?
Didn't we read? Oh no, wait, I apologize. It was something different that I thought it was based that had a similar title with October something. More like the October Guard from G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Monster Hunters, Thrill Killer, a Witch, and a Warlock. Okay. More of a Halloween thing. Okay.
All right. Also worth noting, Bitterroot is still coming out next year. Next up, Image Comics' Ice Cream Man gets TV series adaptation from Universal. So before I even mention this, I'm just going to say that, you know what?
This is not the Ice Cream Man from Eddie Murphy's comedy best special.
No, this is not the Ice Cream. Also, not the Ice Cream Man from that said song, which I won't repeat because it's got some cursing in it. Which was Master P, if I'm not mistaken. Anywho, I was going to say that, you know what? There are so many comics to TV/movie things going on so far. I'm like, all I want is like sci-fi or somebody to just grab all these, or Netflix would probably want to do that, but not really. Just grab all these, put them all on one channel. Just do us that solid. It's not going to happen, but that would be nice.
Nah, and there's no way they're going to consolidate. There's too much money.
I know, but like I said, it's wishful thinking.
Yeah.
So anyway, apparently this is a critically acclaimed image horror series, Ice Cream Man. It is October, by the way, so you know there's a bent to some of the stuff. Apparently, this is a fairly recent book. It's a Twilight Zone-esque standalone tales of horror and fantasy linked by Dark Inu of Suburbia and the eponymously sinister Ice Cream Man going from neighborhood to neighborhood. So, okay. That's probably why I haven't.
You dropped your ice cream. You dropped your ice cream.
It's the Ice Cream Man.
All right. So you did the Siffy Deadly Class, right?
I did no.
Oh, okay. So that's me.
Yes.
Meet the students of Sci-Fi's Deadly Class in New Stills.
So yes, you're watching the video. There's, you know.
Yeah, Deadly Class is about the students in a private high school for assassins called King's Dominion School for the Deadly Arts. Hogwarts, it is not.
Right. So there's some stills from it, and that's the whole thing that's coming. It actually reminds me of another miniseries that I can't think of that kind of came out. Started relatively around the same time as this that I thought was good. Anyway, that's coming in 2019 from Sci-Fi. And now we get into the comic book news, and we start
with the last one.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to.
I had to sing the theme song.
No, because I forgot to put the link in there, and as I was
all the pop culture references tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. So that being She-Ra, NYCC trailer reveals Adora shares her secret identity. There's actually been a couple other articles coming out about what's going to happen in the show, because I guess they must have shown it at the NYCC already today.
Yeah, I think it was today.
Yeah. So and this is the reboot for She-Ra, Princess and the Princess of Power. So apparently she's not going to have so it's what it sounds like though, because it was what they've been doing in fairly recent He-Man. Well, I guess the He-Man comics or the crossovers they've been doing. So Adam doesn't have a secret identity anymore because that kind of came out fairly recently. So I guess they're going down that road with this book. I mean, with this show.
Okay, interesting.
Or maybe that's something in the book, because I know she is also in those He-Man books, and I don't know if that's actually already happened or tied to it or not. Regardless, it's a thing. November 16th, that is when this show airs, and then I've heard good things about what people saw from the trailer and things coming out of the panels, or things coming out of, NYCC so far. I'm pretty sure there's going to be another panel or two before the weekend is out.
Mm-hmm.
Now we go to the comic book news.
We transition to the comic book news.
Yeah, Mr. Smooth Jazz.
Sean Murphy returns with Batman Curse of the White Knight. So this is a sequel to Sean Murphy's Batman White Knight, where the identities, the identities that the Joker and the Batman take on are reversed.
Mm-hmm. Which actually brings back the allusion to the Daredevil season that I was kind of going for. But yes, and I will say again, like we did not know the name of the sequel to this, which we now know is Curse of the White Knight. And like I said, I enjoyed that first series. You should check it out for a new spin.
Yeah, I got to catch up.
Even if it isn't potentially an Elseworlds thing. And also, I think we also found out that actually that might be the next one. Or no. Never mind. Yeah, because the first Batman White Knight was also put on DC Black Label retroactively. So I didn't put that in there, but that was in this article. So that's something. Which I'm kind of surprised it wasn't there in the first place, but I think that came out before this happened. So nevertheless, next up, Batman Damned will not be reprinted. Next issue pushed back. So we kind of had already talked about this when Batman the Damned came out, where we did not know that they were not going to be reprinted because they want, I guess the market is. I'm not gonna say the market is spoken, because I guess those books are going to be worth something now that the Batwing has shown itself, in limited quantities.
Mm-hmm.
and would not be reprinted, and they were already digitally took that stuff out, or they had already done it anyway. So yeah. So DC also adjusted the release date of Batman Damned #2, pushing about 2 weeks to December 5th. You kind of wonder if there was more Batwing that was going to be in it, and they just said, "Oh, we're just going to go ahead and take this out right now." That's why we're pushing it. That is me speculating.
Quite possible.
Yeah, but I can't imagine why they would push it back. This article also says that they have announced that Batman #3 is going to be pushed 3 months until March 13th.
Right. I mean, these were not going to come out on a monthly basis. They were already going to come out not quarterly, but definitely now it seems like they're going to be quarterly.
Yeah, you would think like bi-monthly or something.
Right. Definitely something on a slower schedule. So, alrighty. Next up, DC's newest Walmart Swamp Thing adventure features a story by none other than Brian Azzarello and Greg Capullo.
Yeah, if you haven't been keeping up, DC's been doing these 100-page giant-sized jobbies and putting them in Walmart. There's like a good, what, 3 issues each or something? No, there's like 4 different ones. There's like, at this point, like 2 or 3 of each one now. There's a bunch of them. If you go to your local Walmart, you'll find out. So now they're starting another one, and just in time for Halloween, it's Swamp Thing related. I don't know if it says when this is going to come out, though, which I'm assuming is going to be soon, because, Halloween's at the end of this month. Okay, so it says Swamp Thing Halloween Horror Special one-shot that will be available sometime this month. DC says that the book begins shipping Thursday. Okay, so I guess today.
All right. Next up. Oh, no, you're up next.
Yes. Young Justice returns in Brian Michael Bendis's Wonder Comics imprint. Now, as a fan of Young Justice, the TV show, and and I've read a couple of comics here and there, I am slightly happy about this. Not happy about Bendis writing this. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. Well, let me phrase that. Hold on, let me see. Is he actually writing this, or this is on his imprint? So yeah, so Bendis took to Twitter saying that he announced that Young Justice is going to be his new imprint called Wonder Comics, which I'm pretty sure some of his stuff is going to be there too. The line will be curated by Bendis himself, featuring in continuity storylines and aimed primarily at a teen audience. The flagship title, Young Justice, is making its return, starring Bart Allen as Impulse, Connor Kent as Superboy, and Tim Drake as Robin. Bendis will write the book, so darn it, with art from his Action Comics partner, Patrick Gleason. It might be all right. I don't know. Young Justice, yay. Bendis, his history with team books is not great, personally, and I say that as who's read his Avengers. Actually, I shouldn't say that, because there was some decent things about his Avengers run with who he had in it, much less not necessarily how he wrote it, but let's put it that way. Anyway, that is a thing that is coming. No word on when. And it looks like there's some other stuff that's going to be on his imprint. See, Naomi will be co-written by Bendis and David F. Walker, so that's dope. With art by Jamal Campbell, so that's also cool. Wonder Twins is going to have a book written by Snagglepuss and Flintstone's scribe Mark Russell, so it's going to be political. That is me editorializing. Justice League Power Rangers veteran Stephen Byrne, drawn by Stephen Byrne, who drew Justice League Power Rangers. Dial H for Heroes is coming back. Written by Sam Humphries of Harley Quinn and Green Lanterns fame, with Joe Quinones. Because, as a matter of fact, I think I just saw that earlier today. That they were doing that. I think one of them had tweeted about it. Let's see. And it says the book itself is described as an updated take on Silver Age Classic series. So yeah, those are going to be those are going to be on the slate for this new imprint. It says early next year. So yeah, okay. So we won't see this until 2019.
Okay. Alrighty. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Digital Comics will introduce a new cast of characters. Yay! For fans of Call of Duty.
I know, right? I don't think there are any on this panel. But yeah, so there are 3 new characters going to be in this digital comic, and Black Ops 4 is going to come out October 12th. Who cares? Goosebumps creator R.L. Stine takes Boom Studios just beyond. So there's going to be an original graphic novel series in the vein of Goosebumps by the creator of Goosebumps. And I suppose that's coming out soon because, once again, Halloween. And it's called Just Beyond. The Scare School is the first original graphic novel in the series. In the series, commas are important, folks. 3 12-year-olds in strangely old-fashioned clothing have appeared in modern times, creeping through the empty halls of Scare Middle School. It's a terrible name for a for a school. Trying to escape a cyborg creature called the Drog before they are dragged back into somewhere just beyond. So now 3 modern-day students are drawn into this terrifying mystery as to why the school doesn't feel like the worst place ever. Doesn't just feel like the worst place ever. It might literally be the worst place imaginable. So if you got kids who like Goosebumps, or if you're an older person who remembers Goosebumps and likes it, this might be something up your alley.
Okay. Next up, Dynamite delivers The Shape of Elvira. This in January. So Dynamite Entertainment announced today that Elvira is going to return this winter for a new 4-part miniseries by writer David Avallone and artist Fran Strucon that will have movie fans reeling. Okay.
And if you know anything about Elvira, you know that she actively does have a shape, but we won't get into that. Yes. Next up, in Don't Call It a Comeback, and I don't know what the call is. Toys R Us could be making a comeback. So apparently, we talked about this a few months ago where all of the stores died. In fact, I still drive past the shell of the store nearest me and just reminisce. So, but apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal, Toys R Us has opted to cancel its previously announced bankruptcy auction, which would have seen both the brand name and other intellectual property goes up for sale. Again, it's been 4 months since this happened, so this is weird that they did that. And in the wake of Telltale, which I didn't have this in the news, but I guess it was kind of tangentially related. Telltale had a bunch of layoffs, and they're still trying to get some people to finish up their last set of Walking Dead games. So if you don't know, Telltale Games is a video game company. They did those Walking Game and a whole bunch of other like Batman, the Guardians of the Galaxy games, where they're basically stories where they're branching, or where there's basically stories where choices you can make and that kind of stuff. Good stuff, and they're episodic. That went out of business. The reason why I bring it up in this case is because I first read this and I was like, wait, so do you mean to tell me they close all their stores so they can get rid of all these people so they can hire more people back? Which that's kind of a stretch in this case, because like I said, the Telltale fired a bunch of people and now they need a bunch of other people. And there's also some things high up that happened that looks bad on Telltale's, and I was thinking of whether that has something to do with what's going on here. I don't think so, because Toys R Us was having a bad time of it because brick and mortar stores were kind of being taken out by Amazon and places. So I don't know. This is a weird one. Like they just basically said, "Nope, we're back." So, and they, after killing all of their stores, this is just a weird thing.
It's weird simply because the calculus that's involved in this makes no sense.
Exactly.
If they could have done a restructuring where some of the stores stayed open, would have made so much more sense. There would have been a constant stream of income,
right,
that whole time.
I'm thinking it's not the same as the Telltale thing, because that's two totally different. But it's just kind of weird for this to happen like it does.
Alrighty, next up, the rumor is that Rocksteady's working on a Justice League video game, and it's not Superman; it's Justice League as a whole.
Yes. So yeah, this is again a Reddit rumor, and I don't know whether to believe it or not. So there could be. So yeah, we did know about the rumored Superman game that Rocksteady, makers of the Arkham Asylum games from Batman, that many other game, including the recent Spider-Man game, has taken this combat from. So yeah, oh wait, I'm sorry. This came off of 4chan, which is even less. That's even worse. Because the description here just basically sounds like it sounds like a Justice League game that happened that was like from back in the day. So let me see if it's and it actually sounds like pretty much any game that's out there now. So it says that the anonymous poster also noted basically it said that it's a game where you'll be switching between characters, and they'll have DLC, and you'll have all of the characters of the Justice League, and they'll have different locations like Metropolis, Gotham, and Keystone, and each one will take place early in the career. Which again, there was a game I wish I can't remember because it's not Task Force, but there was a Justice League game that you basically played as like Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. That was kind of similar to this. So I don't know if they were rehashing that. And granted, that was a long time ago, and the game wasn't great, but still, like this just sounded like that, but just with more DLC and whatever else. We don't know. Again, it's a rumor at this point. I would like to see what Rocksteady would do with something outside of Batman. So if they could do what they did for Batman, that would be awesome. If this ends up being true, which we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, is that you? It's me.
No,
Marvel,
it's you.
Marvel Comics presents Anthology relaunching in 2019. So guess what, folks? Marvel Comics Presents is coming back. I would love to be on the meeting a while ago where they said, you know what, we're just gonna bring back a whole bunch of old books. We're bringing back the 90s, all of this. We're bringing it out a whole new door. Yes, if you could know that reference, yeah, great. So yeah, apparently Marvel is celebrating its 80th anniversary in 2019 with the return of Marvel Comics Presents. The anthology will feature 3 separate stories from Wolverine, Captain America, and Namor. Wolverine's will take place in the 40s, with Captain America's story choosing present day, and Namor's will star in an untold story featuring an atom bomb. Which I feel like they've done that before. The list of creators attached to Marvel Comics Presents includes Charles Soule, Greg Pak, Ann Nocenti, Tom Coker, and Paulo Siqueira. The cover of the first issue is illustrated by Art Adams.
Okay.
And it says January 19th is when that's going to start. So look out for that.
Alrighty. Next up,
man.
What's that?
No word on Forbush Man.
Oh no. By the power of Grayskull, he has the power. So apparently there is a picture that Roddy has put up on the screen for those of you watching on YouTube and the Click Nation /live of a cosplayer who's got a very good take on He-Man.
Yeah. Like, so it's a brother with an afro, but everything else is like that's
from last weekend's Baltimore Comic-Con.
Exactly. So, and this just came out actually today, I think. But yeah, this is a cosplay. With the funny part about this, the other reason why I brought this up, because I was like, okay, we do know friends of the show and CSPN founder Classic Material has been doing some cosplay, and I was like, could this be classic? No, it's not.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Shout out to Classic Material.
Absolutely, you were right there with me. Last but not least, okay, folks, hold on. I need to do this tweet out real quick. So. As a matter of fact, I got a little show and tell after this one because
it's part of the story.
This is actually part of the story. Where did I put that freaking link? I'm sorry, folks.
It's okay.
Live podcasting. So I'm going to put this out on Twitter, and I am going to say that the Transformers trading card game has been released. It was released on September 28th. Reviews are out there and all that kind of good mess. On the Hasbro site, there are a number of videos that will show you how to play said game. So if you didn't know, Transformers, the trading card game, is the new game from Wizards of the Coast with the Transformers license. It seems to play a little bit like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering because it's Wizards of the Coast and they own Magic the Gathering. So this is a thing. The reason why I bring these videos up is because, one, if you're interested, you might want to check these out. But two, as it says here, Optimus Prime and Megatron talk to you about how to play the Transformers TCG in the series. And you got to listen to this because there is some funny ass dialogue in these videos. Hopefully it'll play.
Is it Frank Welker? And
it is time to start playing.
It is.
Not let us down. When playing the full game, each player will use characters that total 25 or fewer stars. They will support those characters with a deck of 40 or more battle cards. When using the Autobot starter set, each player takes 2 character cards, placing them face up in alt mode.
Autobots again?
Deal each player 20 battle cards. Shuffle your cards, placing them face down in front of you. Position the damage counters where both players can reach them. Finally, we will decide who goes first by using a human custom call. Rock, paper, scissors. It's settled. I will go first.
I was defeated with paper?
Indeed. At the beginning.
So
of
anyway,
turn,
you get the point. There's a somewhere in the next minute or two, Megatron, the voice of Megatron, who I don't think is
Not Frank Welker.
No, it's not. I believe it sounds like the same guy who played Dinobot in Beast Wars. It sounds like him. But nevertheless, like I said, there's some pretty good dialogue. If for anything else, you should check out some of these videos because so there's like 5 of them, but 4 of them are the ones that tell you how to play, and then there's just another one that. But yeah, so as you've heard, that is the voice of Optimus Prime. Is it Cullen? Cullen Prime, right?
What's that?
I keep getting them two mixed up. So it's Walker that does Megatron and
Yes.
Cullen
Yes.
that does so that does sound like Peter Cullen. Not sure if it's not him, that sounds like a pretty damn good. That's a pretty good sound alike.
Yep. It's a very good sound, like it's not him.
Right. So, but the Megatron obviously is not Frank Welker, and I do still want to say it might be the dude who voiced Dinobot in Beast Wars. I don't know, but regardless, go check that out if you're interested in that trading card game. And in relation to that, folks, I have a little show and tell here real quick as we round out the show. I have been anticipating this, but as I told Agent 70 before the show, I had actually forgot this came out until I started seeing the stuff rolling about. So, in my anticipation of as soon as I found out these were in stores, I got a bunch of packs. And in fact, I got 4 booster packs sitting right here if you're watching the video, if you're not watching the video. And I also got the starter set, which was upside down. Thank you very much. So the starter set is basically a 2-set player set that has 4 player cards, well, 4 character cards, and a bunch of cards for to use for playing. So you can use this for 2 players, or you can use it for a 1 deck and crush your opponent. I did not open this as of yet. Maybe I'll do another video later on and open this up. But I just wanted to just show that the fact that it is a thing, and yes, it's $14.99 depending on where you go.
It's a good, it's a decent price for a start, you know.
Yes, I have seen it upwards of like 20. In fact, I think I've seen this on like Amazon for like 20. But you know, beware if you can find a card shop. Like the place that sells Magic the Gathering cards, or maybe some comic shops do it. I don't know. Mine doesn't. That sells cards. You may want to check it out today. They may have it for a list price. If you're interested. The guy was trying to tell me of another set because I know there's another expansion coming out fairly soon, and that's Metroplex. And there was another one he was trying to tell me about, but I have no idea what he was saying because I was loopy because I was tired. But nevertheless, like I said, this set has everything you need to start a game if you want to play with a couple of folks, or just start your deck out. And of course, like I said, the site has videos. What I'm actually going to do really quick is open up a set of booster cards. So That's $15. These booster cards are, at least I found them at my shop, for $4 a piece. And I think you get 7 cards, let's say. Let's say yes, because I believe it is. In fact, I could just go ahead and open this up. But, so you open up a pack. It comes like this. Oh, that's nothing. That's absolute newness. So I got a Jetfire card.
Okay.
So the character cards are basically go like this. You have your vehicle mode, you have your robot mode, and when you start the game, you start with I believe you start in vehicle mode. At the start.
Because you got to get to the place where the battle is.
yes, you have to get to the battle like you said earlier, and then of course you got these other cards, which are you make your deck out with, and they have different functions. And again, those videos go through. And here's the back of the cards. So there you go. Good. Nice. But anyway, like I said, there will probably be, there may or may not be another video on this at some time from me on that later on, because in the time I won't bore everybody who probably doesn't care about that with this. Yeah,
but it's nice to have a variety, and it's definitely something different than what we're used to having. So,
well, yeah, this could go under the realm of Toy Corner.
Yep.
So, because I plan on collecting a bunch of these.
Nice.
And well, nothing that doesn't need to go. Oh, nice. Shout out to Ed Piscor. Anyway, before we end off the show, I believe we have another ad read. When you mute it, but yeah. You mute it. You mute it.
I thought I turned it off because I was going between windows. No special voice here. I don't have any inspiration for special voice. Although I was just on IMDb trying to figure out who did the Eeyore voice in the Christopher Robin movie.
Yes,
and it wasn't Peter Cullen. It was actually Brad Garrett. So I'm kind of I don't know if I have an Eeyore in me right now. This ad
is kind of an Eeyore, so yeah, that makes sense. Anyway,
this ad is for Wink. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your tastes and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime because bad things happen. And now, the listeners of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today.
Oh God. Okay. So folks.
Oh man.
Which actually that's kind of almost perfect because Eeyore does probably need a drink. I don't know. Or the last one actually needs a drink. We don't know.
I was about to say, it's so funny that like I was having so much trouble coming up with ideas to do voices, and I'm like, wait, it just kind of popped up at random.
Sure. Right. Yeah. You gotta know your audience.
That's true.
So while he was doing that, I was opening up another pack and laughing my ass off and open up another pack of these Transformer cards. So I'm just gonna show these real quick. Got a Starscream.
Megatron.
Yeah. Sadly, no. What did I say? Didn't he die? What's the Starscream? I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. And got some more. Some more booster cards.
Nice.
So yeah. I'll be messing with that a little bit later. I don't have anybody to play with, but whatever. I know some people I will be meeting up with them at some point, I'm sure. Regardless of that. All right, folks, we have come to the end of another exciting episode of this here Comic Book Chronicles. We thank you, each and every one of you, for coming out. We actually finished. Well, that's normal. Never mind. Next week we should probably have more NYCC stuff. I know it's more tales from the field from Agent 70.
Yes, sir.
And whatever else comes out of that news-wise, that I'm sure surprisingly is. Well, I don't know. Maybe I missed something, but I'm surprised it's not as much as what I thought it was going to be before now. But there's some sprinklings coming out, and it is only the first day as the time of this recording. So therefore, Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PC_dirt. Pop Culture, yes. Pop Culture Net. PopCultureNetwork.com. INeedComics.com. For PC_dirt. For Tim Dad 98, living it up. Tim DOGG98, VKLIQ NETION, and CB Cron on Twitter and TheClickNation.com. Also, go check him out on CBR Comic Book Resources, where he's out there writing about the stuff that he's alluded seeing from his TV shows and whatnot. Mr. Hobnob over there.
Yep.
And myself, Radicat, RDDYKAT on Twitter, and News Nerds Need on Twitter. Also, CB Caps on Instagram, and of course, there's the News Nerds Need Reddit. Not toxic, hopefully. I try to keep it clean over there. It's all good. Good stuff. Go check it out. Hopefully, site coming fairly soon. I keep saying that. Nevertheless, podcasts, you can find us on Google Play and Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts.
Oh yeah.
And the CSPN network, that's CSPN.us. Go over there and check us out on that site, along with a bunch of other podcasts. And you can also check out these Coast Leathers SoundCloud SoundCloud page to find us and other podcasts in audio form. And the last but not least, shop.cspn.us, where you can get merch from this here show and other shows on the CSPN network. But you love us, so get some Comic Book Chronicles swag. Rock a mug with our logo on it.
There you go.
Or even, got some nice stuff over there. And that is it, folks. Next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
We'll play ourselves out.
Did you have something to play? Or
yep.
Okay, cool. Well, this is the Collections Comic Book Chronicles, and we are out.
Peace.
To give you what you need. Not five motherfuckers. Get live, motherfuckers. As we see.
Would you believe it's Dr. Doom?
What's on your evil mind?
Oh, you insulting tongue and mock my words well.
How about this rumor that you are really hired Mr. Stark?